I feel like this is more than 500 words. Yeah, we're using tcanter. It was trying to use PyQt5. Hey, what is up? Introduction here. We're going to use ChatGPT to test out the limits of coding with a natural language model, or whatever the hell this thing is. Pretty good, not great. You certainly have to know how to code to use this effectively, and you are pretty limited in how much you can output with this thing. So we'll see if it'll finish this pretty simple prompt. But generally, after about a minute, it'll give you an error and body stream. It looks like we're going to reach that point, but maybe we'll get lucky. It certainly looks like more than 500 words, quite frankly, and error and body stream. So that is that. And I will show that it does work. It's not great, but I can enter in principal amount, uh, a list of interest rates, compounding rates, just do once a month, term frequency 5. And it does give me a graph. It's pretty good. It's a good day today. And today I'm going to provide some opinions and context of using GPT to replace a programmer. I want to create a GUI that allows someone to enter in values and output a graph related to those values. In this case, I want to do interest rate, not interest rate. I want to compare compounding interest to continuously compounding interest over a range of interest rates. Here's I'd say version 1. Um, it wrote this function here, compound interest, that's accurate and correct. Um, Maybe there's better ways to do this instead of making a list and appending. Actually, no, it's probably the best way to do it. It is expecting R to be a list, and it's going through each RI and R, which I think is pretty good naming as well. Uh, People like to stay away from single letters uh, in college, but in online, I see a lot of people using single letters as variables, especially when they are easy to understand like this. And RI and R is pretty easy to follow. This is very well formatted, well labeled, easy to read, and the comments are fantastic. Uh, just as an adder of comments, ChatGPT is really nice. It puts in really good comments. Um, Better than me. I have trouble like formatting sentences because I'm a retard. But this makes concise sentences, concise descriptions that are just easy to read. Really good. Did it give an entire program? No, it did not. I had to go function by function and make some slight edits along the way. But it does run. This does run. Oh, and we got an error. But that's fine. We go back here and we'll ask her to fix the error, and she will. But even better than that, I asked for some online resources, and she went ahead and provided 3 separate online resources. Again, saying this is good, but slightly confusing. If you kind of, uh, uh, I don't know if that's complimenting, but you kind of rate the outputs, she will change the outputs and make them better for you. So I said, this is good, but slightly confusing for me to understand. Do you have any resources? Do you have any online resources you can provide related to Listbox? Sure enough, three separate ones, each from different sources. Uh, the base tkinter documentation, which is what you want, some Z code. Um, this link didn't work, and fbot. Let's see. Server not found. Okay. So these links, and again, this doesn't have internet access. It doesn't, I don't know where it got these links from. They don't work. Um, they look good though. Um, but the Python documentation does work. So I will say, uh, I like your ideas, comma, but the last two links are not valid. Do you have No. Sometimes you gotta just say provide alternative alternative links or provide alternative links related to understanding list box. Oh, I cannot parse, try signing in again. Okay, so fuck. We got it. Look it up. See, error and body stream. Here we are, just straight copying and pasting the output. It should run. I didn't see any. Yeah, there we go. Comparing compound interest to continuous compound interest gives a nice little graph. They're pretty similar because we only have three interest rate values. Uh, and we started with the principal of 1,000, 12 times a year for 5 years. I see no errors. So, could you do this without knowing how to code? Um, I don't really know how to code. Uh, I did this. Did I have to have some knowledge of what I wanted? Yes. I don't think it's, you still would need somebody to orchestrate this. You gotta have to put things together. I had to tell it to make a main. I had to import this math. Didn't import the library for some reason. I probably could have asked it to, but it didn't. So that works. When it comes to actually performing mathematical operations, this cannot. Even this simple calculation is wrong. I put it in my calculator. I get a result of 2.69 or 26.97 actually. So this is way off. Um, Not only is the variables that it shows to use off, the formula calculation, or I get the numerical calculation is completely wrong. So doing calculations can't really hang. Writing functions in Python properly using the libraries, uh, keeping the syntax, adding great comments, they can do that. A little more about the banking system. Every time the error in body stream occurs, the next time you try it again, the code that it outputs is not exactly the same. And it's almost worse. Like the code, like it dumbs it down maybe to help it output, which is kind of annoying. But if you are quick, you can copy the code before it returns that error. Only thing is you don't know when it is going to return that error. So if you're coding something that really matters and you see something really nice, I would suggest that you just copy it as soon as it comes out. Even if you just click this, it'll copy it. I'm noticing a lot of the times it'll finish the function and it'll get stuck on the explanation at the end, which is kind of annoying. But it's it is what it is. And I did ask it about that error, and it said that it doesn't have an ability to output errors, which tells me that there is another layer of abstraction. There's some kind of this is an issue of something happening outside of the model. Maybe there's a time limit on how long this can run. Uh, Not sure. Alright, here we go. Let's see if it'll finish. I've had it get past the error in body stream just by trying it again a bunch of times. But this is pretty impressive. It'll give an example of how to perform a task if you ask it to, uh, directly related to code that it output itself. So here, let's see what it outputs now. Don't like how it rewrites the entire block of code every single time. I've asked it to not do that. She refuses. Okay, I haven't seen this before. Oh, another thing that works pretty well is go ahead and compliment her a little bit. Every time she gives output, I'll say this is good. Thank you. Or I'll be like great with an exclamation point, and then I'll ask something else. Um, that seems to work pretty well at keeping things in the same format, sort of. So a lot of times, if you ask for code a bunch, sometimes it'll give you a code block. Sometimes it won't. Um, but being given some compliments seems to keep the format the same. As a debugger, ChatGPT is amazing. Giving it pieces of code and asking it to explain, it's doing a fantastic job. Fortunately, it's not that good at generating a full-on set of code. So it's gonna just all this really is going to do is make some nice boilerplates and give some great information on debugging. As you can see here, how would you rewrite this? Um, and it knew that there was a recursion error, and it gave a solution to help prevent the recursion error. It turned out the solution it gave didn't fix the error, but asking it to give new ideas, so I'm still seeing recursion error and there's no GUI output. Any ideas? Reminded me to include the super init so I could extend the TK class in the app. Easy as pie, took no time. Then I posted then I posted a couple functions or methods, and it gave some suggestions for how to fix them. These suggestions ended up being nothing, but it tried. And if there were any, and maybe 5 times out of 10, there will be some useful information in here that I can copy and paste and use on my own. It does have trouble performing calculations. So when it comes to performing calculations, it's not that great. But for debugging, explaining, giving a boilerplate and a rough idea, it does a great job. I asked it how it would use Python to code an Android app. It recommended the Kivy module and gave a little sample that works. And I asked for a workflow, it gave a pretty basic, very high level workflow. Um, and I asked for another sample, and it went ahead and put out another sample. It didn't say what code it was written in, what language the code was written in, so I asked it, and it went ahead and gave me an explanation telling me it's in Kotlin and um, some information about Kotlin. So I will be doing all code production with ChatGPT open from here on out for sure. I have tried some C code. It's not that great. We'll definitely put something out for C, but very good stuff. Very happy to see.